Hello everybody, and welcome to the first edition of video notes for general chemistry. These notes will go on page 7 in your science notebook eventually. If you don't have that yet, we'll be setting it up in class tomorrow, so make sure you get it. And you can just tape these notes in there after we do that. All right. We are talking about observation and inference today. So observation is based on your 5 senses, all right, what we can measure and see, whereas inference is based on your logic and experience. So we'll be talking about those two things, and they're kind of a basic way that we figure out and make theories in science. So let's get started. All right, so observation, it's about your senses, right? Okay, what can you see, hear, taste, smell, and feel, right? Not all of those senses are always good to use when you are observing something, but that's where we gather our data from, right? Now, there's really 2 kinds of observations. One is qualitative. So qualitative might be something like this. It might be something like it feels warm, all right, or it is heavy. All right, those are qualitative types of observations, whereas quantitative would be something that deals with numbers, right? So you might say something like, hey, that is 80 degrees Celsius, right? That would be a measurement that is warm. Or something could be heavy, that is 100 kilograms. Okay, so quantitative deals with numbers, qualitative is just a description. All right, so inference. Inference is a way of explaining what we observe. So why is it that the things that you either qualitatively or quantitatively observe, why are they happening? Okay, and the way that we do this is based on experience. Inference is almost like writing a hypothesis, right? Okay, and here's the thing. We can change our inferences based on new observations. So when we get new information, that may change our explanation of things. Let's check on an example of that. All right, so here's an example, right? We observe, we look out the window when we wake up in the morning, and the grass outside is wet. That's the first thing we see. So that is a qualitative observation, right? That something is wet. So to infer, why would the grass be wet? I want you to think about this for a second. Take a little bit, maybe pause the video, write down some reasons why the grass would be wet. And also be ready to share those reasons when you come to class. We're going to discuss this a little bit. Now, here's a little bit more information. The grass is wet, and when you look further, there are puddles on the sidewalk and in the street. Okay? Does that new information, do these new observations change your inferences? Does it eliminate some possibilities? This is what inference and observation is about. And it's a way in science that we can figure out things that we can't see or that we can't necessarily put our hands on. So here's an example in science of inference in action. It's our picture of an atom. Why do we think we know what an atom looks like? Okay? Nobody's ever seen inside an atom with enough detail to figure out what exactly it looks like. But we've inferred through observations what it looks like. That there is a tiny nucleus in the middle of it, and around it are negatively charged electrons. We've also figured out by inference that that center is probably positively charged, and it also contains neutrons. We will kind of look into evidence for all these things, but all of them were figured out by making observations through experimentation and drawing inferences to explain why our observations are happening. So here's a picture, and I want you to practice doing some observation and inference with this. Okay? I want you to figure out, first of all, which vehicle probably caused the accident, and what observations do you have that back that up? Next thing I'd like you to figure out by looking at the picture is which person was driving which vehicle. Okay, and what observations do you have to back that up? Okay, last thing is this. What do you think the lady in the phone booth is doing? Okay. Now, could your inferences be incorrect? You bet. But they're based on the best evidence that we have. And that is what inference and observation is about. Thanks for tuning in, and be ready for a quiz on Thursday morning. And we'll be doing some other stuff with inference and observation. Have a great day.